Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the January 23rd, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. We will commence with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Tomarello, you could lead us off.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can hear that in the background. Then they get me like, should I wait?
All right, so in the room we have Commissioner Tombrello and myself, and we have in Zoom land Commissioner Godu. Also present in the room we have Allison Kivakowski, Jason Henry, Chantel Jaconin, Chuck Nickerson, Jude Gates, and Layla Matilla. And in Zoom land we have let's see, Pat Conway, welcome, Catherine Mann, the High Sheriff Macias. Anyone else? You looks like there's another hand. Is that Major Bashaw? He might be.
We also have
Just his
Captain Walsh.
hands. We can tell by his hands. It's like a Seinfeld episode.
We also have Captain Walsh here too.
Okay, welcome everybody.
Thank you.
With that, we'll begin with RFP openings and awards. And the first is award for Dispatch Emergency Operations Center furniture.
I'll make a motion to award the proposal of Dispatch Emergency Operations Center furniture to Hertz Furniture from amount not to exceed $17,752 contingent upon securing grant funding through the state of New Hampshire as recommended by the High Sheriff.
Second.
Any discussion on this? No. Just as just for everybody in Zoom land, this who may be watching in the public, this is fully this will be fully grant funded.
What I did notice, I noticed it's good because I got here early today and I looked, and that RFP and the breakdown of why you want to get another one really had a good description.
Oh yeah.
To the different parts, so I like looking at that, so it was very nice.
Are you talking about for the data computers or for the, okay. Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello, and I vote yes. Okay, we have a second award for ruggedized mobile computer data computers and mobile printers, again for the Sheriff's Department.
I'll make a motion to award the proposal for ruggedized mobile data computers and mobile printers to Connection for an amount not to exceed $30,058, partially funded by the MDT and printer grant as recommended by the High Sheriff.
Second.
Discussion. I have just trying to understand the breakdown of what is going to be grant funded and our how much we're going to be paying for. And is it fair to say that our match is going to be about 13,000?
Because I thought we're 25%, maybe 25% hard match on them.
So Commissioner, we have, 4 of these computers are coming out of our budget directly, not grant funded. The grant funded piece, it's almost split into 2 pieces. So the printer side of things, the printer and the mounts are 100% funded by the grant. The computers and the computer mounts are 75-25% split.
Okay. That's helpful. And then I assume we're well budgeted for the portion that we're paying out of the operating account.
Yep, and these actually came in under budget.
Great. Thank you for the clarification, or the explanation, I should say. Okay, anybody else? On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, moving right to the consent agenda. First, we have minute approvals.
Make a motion to approve the December 19, 2024 public meeting minutes and the January 2nd, 2025 public meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, they look great as usual. They look. Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
I'm going to abstain just because.
with respect to the 19th. Okay.
Not for any reason.
Oh, yeah,
other than
that's
I
fine.
wasn't here. I
And
was here, but not here.
I vote yes, so it's 2-0-1. We next have on the agenda information regarding the pre-employment drug testing update. Allison, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, this is just kind of solidify which departments will continue with the THC drug testing as part of our overall drug screen panel. Department of Corrections and Sheriff's Office will still have it in, but all other departments will not. They'll still have the other mandatory testing for panel. It'll drop to a 4 panel versus a 5. And occupational health will just continue to proceed in that fashion.
And this is something we were talking about for a while. I think it makes sense. I think Commissioner Godu, I think you were the first person to bring this forward, and I believe it's helped us a lot with some of the recruiting efforts, especially, but obviously the Sheriff's Department and corrections, we have to be exacting.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've been working on this a while, and I think it will be helpful. And it has already proven to be helpful. So this is the right move.
Great. Moving on to the AP list.
Make a motion to approve the February 19th. Does that sound right?
No, the
I'll read,
January.
don't say it, wait, I'm only reading what it says, but it doesn't, it should be, January 19th.
Yes.
Sorry.
I mean, we can pre-approve on one time. Mine says January.
January 23rd.
All right,
It'll
so,
be January
all
23rd.
right, so I'll make a motion to approve the January 23rd, 2025 accounts payable, list totaling $1,628,785.87.
Second.
Discussion? We have a couple higher than usual because we have the FF&E coming out of the capital fund, which was like 225,000. So that was, and then we had some non-county special payouts, which also contributed.
Yep.
Chuck, you have anything else you want to?
Yeah, so Meals on Wheels is the largest one of the non-county specials because they're 40,000 per quarter. They have, so they took up a good portion of the non-county specials, now at 51,000. Let's see, corrections, prime care, I mean, the monthly auto pay amount, so that's normal and routine. About 250,000, not quite, for contracted nursing. We had some health pro heritage amounts for nursing home this time. Well, next actually. Let's see, Glendale's portion for corrections was one part, most of one of their warrants. And like you said, capital fund, 1/2 the amount for dispatch, FF&E was due to Sistema before they actually would do delivery or fulfill the order, so.
Great, thank you for that.
Yep.
Those details. Okay, anyone else? On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello?
Yes,
Commissioner Godu?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to Commissioner's Office. Any updates? Commissioner Tombrello, do you have anything? Commissioner Godu? Howard?
No, all is well. I'm back on the mend.
Oh, good.
Out of little extra caution, I'm here at home, away from
Well,
everybody.
We appreciate, one, your consideration of others, but also happy to hear you're on the mend.
Thank you.
So, and that you're able to appear via Zoom, because it really
With a
is nice.
smile.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. In the Oval Office.
I was invited.
All right, so next we have the facility use waiver agreement, and take it away, Commissioner.
to make a motion to approve the waiver of facility fee for the use of the Hilton Auditorium for the calendar year of 2025 as requested by the Rockingham County Democratic Committee and the Rockingham County Republican Committee.
Second.
Is there any discussion? We had just tabled this motion from last time because Commissioner Chiarochello didn't feel comfortable, but we did approve it last year. I think it makes sense to make especially for nonprofits, to make the room available without a fee. So,
Good.
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, we have an Eversource warrant coming out of the finance office. That's up next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve the January 23rd, 2025 accounts payable warrant T 250748 payable to PSNA, Public Service in New Hampshire, Eversource in the amount of $50,285.30 as recommended by the Senior Director of Facilities Planning and IT and the Senior Director of Finance.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
quickly, sorry.
No,
So Eversource was late in sending us their larger monthly bill, and Eversource is not exactly forgiving whenever there's a late payment. While the due date is not technically till middle of February, if, I don't necessarily trust the post office to have timely deliveries anymore, so we just want to steer clear of the chance of any late payment fees.
and hopefully some of this bill will come down when we,
Well, disappear.
yeah, exactly.
The amazing part is, they're not, they have no problem sending me money for 300. They forgot to send this one for $50.
Touche. All right, on the motion, Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have Human Resources, an additional position for a sign-on bonus approval.
I'll make a motion to approve a sign-on bonus of $8,000 for the full-time second shift position of the wellness supervisor in assisting living, paid in accordance with the current schedule, $2,500 at 4 months, $2,500 at 8 months, and $3,000 at the 12 months as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have Allison on that, so it looks like it goes back quite a ways, right? Is that, I saw that it goes back, it's dated back. It's not retro, it's just that you're changing
No,
it to make it.
the board had approved a listing of positions in September 12th,
That wasn't there.
2021. Right, this is gonna add to that. And
I
it'll
had
be
it-
effective this date that you think
Okay.
it's approved.
I mean,
That's fine.
yeah, and the goal here is, I mean, even though some of these things is just, again, to stay as far away from the agency as we can, and that includes over at assisted living. I think one thing that, what we talked about is that we need to, for budgeting purposes, this is now coming out of, salaries on the budget, because the ARPA, where ARPA was previously funding it, that has lapsed. So, good for all the ODVs to take into consideration moving forward.
And just do a quick thing.
Sure.
And Allison and I discussed things as far as the whole listing, and I went through, looked at, how the budgets were trending for all the departments, and we're all fine.
Great.
As far as the ones that are coming due, so we're all good as far as funding, and yes, definitely put a line item in, I'll be figuring that in each county, each departments, the ones that have these positions, as far as a block amount, as far as for hiring bonuses or referral.
Right.
If it's okay, I sent a spread a document over to Layla to disperse to the 3 commissioners, just to kind of let them know what it would be going to the end of the year. That's up to those people that are being hired. That includes the 27th of this month. Obviously, the numbers will change a little as we continue to hire, those will, but we also will know that we sometimes lose people in that transitional period too. So it'll be an up and down each time, but we'll keep you posted. I'll maybe start trending every other month so you can see where things are.
Great.
Thank you.
So Chuck, was that paid out of ARPA money before, so that?
The earlier ones,
Like
it's just hard to
retention?
obligate funds that, the feds kind of want to know a definitive, amount of what for. So unfortunately, 12/31 came and went as far as that deadline.
So it'll just come out of the salary line.
Correct.
Okay.
But we were okay as far as looking at the numbers. We're gonna be okay in all of those lines.
Thank you.
Commissioner Godu, do you have anything else
Nope.
on this?
No,
Okay.
well, I would just like to remind all the department heads that they should be aware that this is coming out of their salary for their salary lines, to be sure that and if there's a possibility of this causing a budget problem, we should know in advance.
Yeah,
I think you kind of already said that, but I just like to
Okay.
emphasize it.
great. Okay, on the motion of Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello, and I vote yes. Okay, weather emergency for Sunday, January 19th, 2025. Approval.
To make a motion to declare a weather emergency in accordance with personnel policies and procedures, chapter 8-4. Sunday, January 19th, 2025, beginning at 11 p.m. or the start of the third shift is defined by the department through Friday.
Wow,
Nothing right.
No,
that's not right.
it's Friday, January 20th.
You guys are
I'm
just
sorry,
seeing if
not
I got
Friday.
my A game, but guess what?
You're being
Guess what? I caught two of them. This is gonna be like tricky, like fool the clerk. Huh? Ah. Not working, no, it's not working.
You have.
All right.
He was coming back, he was
Yeah.
gonna have to dust off some cobwebs, no, he's ready to play.
And I'm picking this up without my glasses. Could you imagine if I was? So that'd be Monday, January 2025 at 8 a.m. or the start of the first shift as defined by the department as recommended by the Senior Director of Human Resources.
That was just for
Second.
third shift.
Yes, third shift.
That was just for third shift.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my fault.
So like,
So as amended,
as amended, yeah.
is there a second as amended?
Second, as amended.
Okay, any discussion? I don't think so. Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Long-term care services, we have an amendment to the transport quote for the grand piano.
I'll make a motion to amend the previously approved transport cost of the donated grand piano for $2,620 with the funds provided by the Resident Efforts Fund as requested and approved by the Resident Council.
Second,
It's a $20
Difference.
increase. Yeah, the delta's $20. Okay,
Yeah.
so discussion with that.
So originally, when we were approached about it, the quote we were given was $2,600. So that is what I brought forward. Upon having the meeting with the individual donating it, and he provided paperwork that had the actual quote, and there was a $20 difference. And then the resident council approved it off of the $20 difference. So in order for my paperwork to line up on the finance side, we want it all to be clean, so it's a $20 difference.
Yeah.
For approval from the prior one,
Okay,
More or less.
more.
Well.
more, a $25 increase.
Yeah.
I know, I would have just given the $20.
You know, I,
No,
I would like to add to the discussion.
oh, sure.
This seems kind of ridiculous that we're going through this paperwork for $20. I don't think that we should be bothering the staff to bring new amendments to all of these motions if they're within even 5% of what was originally approved. I mean, this just seems like a lot of busy work for $20. But I mean, I'm in favor of it, obviously, but I just think that we should consider not requiring staff to come in with such small amounts, under $100. I don't know what the point should be that we just refuse. To me, it would be about 5% difference, plus or minus. I don't think it matters, but at least on the small jobs.
So like, I mean, I said in the school board, a lot of times these things are brought forward, we would make a motion up to, because they
Not
have
to
exact
exceed,
money, not
yeah.
to exceed, it says 20, you did that money, $2,500, say not to exceed, so that we don't have to come back forward, we do that often. So that's something like this, you could do that.
Well, I think it's rare that we are coming back for this type of situation, so it's not so onerous, but I see your point too, Commissioner Godu, in the sense of like not, making more work for people unnecessarily if there's a way to streamline it. I can also see from Chuck's end, from the finance end, wanting to make sure that we're exacting in that number, so do you have anything else to add to the discussion? Okay.
I don't think it happens often.
All right, on that, Commissioner Godu? On
Yes.
the motion, Commissioner
Yes.
Tombrello, and I vote yes. Okay. Sheriff's Department, we have New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety Equipment Grant Application Approval.
We'll make a motion to approve the amendment of the FFY 25 Mobile Data Terminal and E-Crash Equipment Grant Application from the original award of $14,400 to $27,751, and authorize the chair to sign all necessary documents as recommended by the High Sheriff.
Second.
Discussion? Anyone?
No, I would,
It looks fun. Just a quick question. It didn't appear to me that there was any match. Is that correct for this grant?
So this is what we had described earlier when we talked about the RFP award for the MDTs. So
Okay.
the laptops
Okay.
themselves is 75-25, and then the e-crash portion for the printers is 100% covered.
Okay. I was thinking about it from the E-Crash. Thank you.
Well,
Okay. On the motion, Commissioner Tombrello,
yes.
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Traveling training request.
I'll make a motion to approve a travel and training request for 4 Sheriff's Office employees, MC, DG, CW, and MF, to attend the NYTOA TAC Ops North Tactical Training Conference and Expo of 2025 in Verona, New York. To be held April 14th through the 18th of 2025, as an estimated cost of $5,169, as recommended by the High Court.
Second.
Discussion?
Mm.
Okay. On the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, we are moving right along, heading to department head updates. So I'll start in Zoom land first. Allison's like, Attorney Conway, take it away.
Everybody, not really much to report here. I mean, we're rolling along doing the same thing we're always doing. We do have a pretty big, important trial going on upstairs right now. It's a aggravated felonious sexual assault charges involving 2 little boys who are like 7 and 8 years old right now, who will be testifying. So that's a pretty important trial. So that's occurring, and we're just doing what we always do. But other than that, I don't have any updates.
Thank you, Pat. Sure.
Hey, Pat, I didn't leave you a message, but you must see that I'm calling you, just not and hanging up. I apologize. I just wonder, where do we stand on what the plans are for a small office in the courthouse?
So I have reached out. I reached out to Sarah Lineberry, and we actually had a meeting. I think it was months ago. And she told me that she would do some research. She didn't know what space was available. She couldn't tell me that. She didn't know what the plans were in terms of what the state was going to do with the space. And she also couldn't give me an idea in terms of money either. So she told me that she would get back to me on it. She hadn't gotten back to me on it. So I think last week or the week before I reached out to her, and, you know, it was pretty much the same thing. Thank you for reaching out. We're almost there. I'll be able to give you an answer shortly, but I still don't have any answers for you, despite my best efforts. But I will continue to nag her, and as soon as I have an answer, I will let you know.
Can I just mention the thing
Go
about the cars?
Yeah.
In fact, last week too, I had brought up to the other 2 commissioners, just regarding when the sheriff turns in some of the cars, because we're obviously gonna have mileage for your employees going back and forth. We had kind of just early in the talk brought up the part about maybe not trading in a couple of sheriff's cars and getting them to be left for your employees to go back and forth to the court. I think it helps Chuck, and Chuck kind of nodded last week that it's a lot easier to track that than it is to track employees' mileage for reimbursement. So we don't know if you just think about it, we could probably get a couple of sheriff's cars, leave them in the fleet. We'll take the lights off. I don't know.
Well, particularly.
You're smiling. I don't know if that means you're happy or not.
So what do you mean, like just us jumping in the sheriff's car, a bunch of us, and coming over to the courthouse? Is that what you're referring to?
For 8:30 structuring conferences.
Is that what you're referring to? Like just having us jump in the car?
Yeah.
No, I think he's sorry.
Go ahead. Steve?
I think the intention is that when the sheriff retires some of his vehicles, they're probably good enough to transport people from the new building to the courthouse back and forth, where it might not be appropriate to keep them on line to go on patrol. So there would be a couple of extra sedans available for your employees to just use as needed
And
to go
we-
back and forth.
Can I speak for a second? Thank you. So I think when we were discussing our cars, we were looking at the 4 trade-ins that we had for cars. And we are gonna, I think we are, I mean, we could do 2 cars too. I'd have to check with how we're purchasing these cars because we were trading them in. But I think we took 1 car that was, that we were gonna give to the county. I think that was what we discussed. I mean, I would have to go back and
That
look.
was last year.
What was that last year?
That was this
Yeah.
past cycle.
Okay, but we can look at the cars too and see, which best of the cars, because some of these cars you really don't want, you know what I mean?
Well, actually, this is, last year. So this is, it actually stemmed from Superintendent Henry. He really should get the credit for this because he's the one who brought this idea forward last year. And we were talking about it not exclusively to this issue, but it was more like going to conferences or having to
Right.
go up to Concord or things like that. We had 4 cars. One, Drew's team kindly helped out and said there's one that was like really the best of the lot. So we kept that
Right.
one to try it out. And that maybe this year, if we can, so we still have that one to use this year, but if there's 2 we could pull from, all the better.
Yeah.
And especially because
Well-
go ahead.
We'll look at the fleet and see, we gotta see how bad these cars are, because some of them might not have been running, but the cars that we have and we can get them maintained and whatever, we don't have a problem doing it, so it's actually a pretty good idea.
Just say, in my previous life, is you may want to consider a policy at some point down the road. And a policy is very simple, that the car was available, whoever's checking out cars, you can give it to departments or you can have it in a central location. I've seen both. As the policy reads is, there's a car available, that is your first option to take the vehicle, because then again, it's just run on gas, take mileage and all kinds of stuff. If that is not available, the next step is your vehicle. As you get more vehicles and as you decide along those lines, you might want to just consider how you want to structure that. And I've seen both, or it's central or to a department, so.
And the one thing about the county attorney's office with respect, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but they are like, I mean, there are certain hearings, but there's certain like, okay, 8:30 structuring conferences or 1 PM VOPs. There's like certain times that there are going to be multiple attorneys going over to the courthouse at once.
And I think what it is too, we don't have the history to see how many times we're gonna need to go back and forth to court. If we had history, we could say, well, maybe we gotta purchase a car, we could get an electric car, plug it in out back,
Yeah.
electricity off the solar, so on, so. The history, we don't have the history, so maybe we just do 1 year and then look at what the travel line is. Pat will have to have travel mileage out of her travel line, put in the next budget to go back and forth to the courthouse. I mean, it's 5 miles down, 5 miles back. I know that Chuck, you just announced the other day what the mile
Ms. Layla,
was, the
76.
label did it. So, I mean, if we could calculate it, but I think the first year is just gonna be to figure it out.
Well, it's in the past, what we talked about with the commissioners was, because like, I know I sent people to trainings in Concord and, home visits, home checks, all that kind of good stuff, where I would rather not have them use their personal vehicles. So we have a budget for that stuff, but I could reduce our budget, at least not, I know fuel go up a little more, but, it's easier to track that than it is. So, like I said, I personally as a department head would like to have one for my staff, because they're always on doing something, which will be utilized all the time rather than it being mileage.
And it's concerning when you think about, and to your point, from, and if you calculate it out, right? We're talking, if you go over to from here to the courthouse twice a day, one for 8:30s and one for 1 o'clock, you're talking, that's at 70 cents a mileage, that's $14 a day
Yeah.
per attorney.
Right?
So if we're carpooling and taking cars that, I mean, that could be a budget buster in and of itself. So, I'm glad.
Yeah,
we
I mean,
have-
I can understand that, and I'll certainly can talk to my attorneys about that. I think, with regard to morning hearings, it's very possible people might just come from their home to the hearing at 8:30 and just come straight to the courthouse rather than going to the building first. And I don't think I can force them to go to the building first for an 8:30 hearing because that's an early hearing, and generally the hours here are 8:30 to 4:30 for our attorneys. So it's possible that will happen during 8:30 dockets. There may be some people that go to the building first during 1 o'clock or later. I think that people would definitely carpool, whether it's in a sheriff's car or one of the employees' cars. We also need vehicles, and sheriff knows this, to transport witnesses when there are times where they don't have any transportation. So I'll have one of my investigators use one of the sheriff's cars to transport them. So we've used them for that reason in the past. And I'm sure if there's trainings that we all go to together, we could probably use the vehicle as well if there's one available. So, I mean, we're open to that. But I just want to make you aware of just realistically the 8:30s hearings. I don't know that people are going to go to the building before they get to the courthouse. We're required to be here. Our clerk of court likes us to be here 15 minutes before the hearing. So that means we have to be here at 8:15 in the morning for an 8:30 hearing. And then of course, there's going to be times where, I might come over at 8:30, but maybe I have a hearing that's going to take most of the morning, where someone else might just have a quick status or dispositional conference that typically only takes 15 minutes at the most, whereas the other attorney might be here for 3 hours. So those two people, do I think they're necessarily going to carpool together? Probably not, because the person that might be here for only 15 minutes to a half an hour doesn't want to sit around for 2.5 hours. So that, there's things to think about. But
We need the bus. The bus could do shuttling.
I mean, in terms of driving the car as well, I mean, what about, are we covered, like, in terms of insurance and things like that, if any Rockingham County employee drives?
Yes.
Okay, just thinking about those things. Yeah, I mean, we'll absolutely consider it and do the best we can to save money for the county.
Okay. All right, sure.
Okay, now we're done with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, today's a pretty sad day at the sheriff's office. Today is Catherine Mann's last day. I choked up I gave her a little thing. I choked up a little earlier, but, Catherine has been an asset to this organization to Rockingham County for all the years that she's worked here. She's very knowledgeable. She's like a daughter to me. And you know what? I know she's moving on, but the county's definitely gonna miss her. And I just want to thank her for all the hard work and dedication she's done for this county, because she's been here for a long time. And to lose someone like Catherine, I mean, that's some big shoes to fill. So, but actually, give me 1 second, because I gotta show you something. I'll be right back. Hold on 1 second. With that flag.
Active audience here.
It doesn't end.
There's more.
Well, Catherine, while we're on this pause, I think, we would all echo the same sentiments as the sheriff. And you've been an amazing asset to the county, helpful not just within the sheriff's office, but all around the complex. And you make it easy for us to understand things, just like as represented today. And so we wish you the best of luck, but also say thank you so much for all that you have contributed to Rockingham County.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So the joke in the sheriff's, it was not really a joke, but so I reclassified her. She's leaving, so she is now Rock 1.5, and she's leaving as the under sheriff as the sheriff's office. But I had to show that to you. So, but thank you. Nothing else new to report.
All right, we'll come here and I will, let's see, June, would you like to go
Good
first?
morning. Nothing new to report really. We're very busy. We're dealing obviously with the very cold weather. We have a frozen coil on one of the jail blocks that, the superintendent very kindly relocated his employees from while we get a replacement coil. We had a little coil in the foyer at the main entrance freeze. It's not affecting anyone, so it's okay. And, just a few other miscellaneous issues that we're dealing with. The residents are comfortable and happy, that the inmates are comfortable and comfortable. So,
There,
we're looking forward to the, tour next Friday after the executive committee building operations meets on Wednesday. And, Harvey's kind of laying out a little bit of a walkabout and making sure that we have a fairly clear path, because it's still a construction site. But, as you know, Commissioner, you were stepping over obstacles a couple of weeks ago. So, we're really looking forward to getting everybody to have a first peek at the building. Other than that, nothing new.
You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking forward to Pat Conway actually going on the second floor of that building.
Me too.
Pat, if you don't cry, Pat, you don't cry. Because when I walked up there, you're gonna think that you hit the lottery 2 Wednesday nights in a row. Because your spot upstairs, I was through there the other day and walked through it, and your kitchenette and the bathrooms with the
Yeah.
tile. You're gonna think you died and came back.
you're gonna have.
I'm
office-
super excited, and everybody else in this office is as well. We are all excited about it for obvious reasons. The legal assistants as well, just because they sit on top of each other, in the hallway, basically. So we're all really looking forward to it. And I'm super excited to go on the tour and coming back and reporting back to everyone here how awesome it is. So.
When you interview somebody in that building, they're gonna
Could
take
be-
the job.
Yeah,
They're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
take the job. Right now, they're thinking, what am I doing?
this place is, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
beautiful.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting. Is there anything else? June?
No, thank you
Okay.
very much. That's all.
Chuck?
So grants as usual, whether it's reporting or applications. The superintendent, myself, Molly, Mary Beth Hardy. We had a very good meeting with two of the grant consultants that Jason's worked with in the past. Kevin Warwick and Mary, I can't remember her last name.
Yeah.
Sorry. But anyways, 2 significant, DOC grant related opportunities are coming up. But applications are due both by the end of March, I believe. So looking forward to working on those. It's gonna be able to help fund some additional positions that are gonna be needed, especially leading up to the opening of the new community corrections facility. And also even right now, I think we could probably use some other
Yeah, if I-
clinicians and whatnot, you know.
If I could jump onto that, so, yeah, there are 2 significant grants, we're looking to fund, it'll be for definitely mental health, and then another for opioids and probably a case manager, so, LADAC or a mass level mental health person. The other significant money, one of the grants would be about $500,000, the other one can be up to 1.5 million, but obviously, we wouldn't go that high in that one, because that's more of the, urban area. I've been fortunate enough to receive at least one of the grants that we'll probably get twice when I was in my previous place. Working with Kevin Warwick and Mary back and forth with us, so they're very well versed. The work Molly's learning, they're going, by the time this is done with these 2, Molly have a template to move forward on how to do these and navigate that whole system.
That's great.
And I predict that we will get one, if not both of these grants. Molly's working on a letter to bring forward to the commissioners, so we can get approval to actually apply for the grants.
Great.
And then we'll go from there. Again, what'll happen too is Kevin Warwick, my consultant I've used, they'll write themselves a little bit to the grant to help do some of the managing with Molly. Also, what we'll do is to help me put presentations together, which will come to you and from the delegation. Because we're then go in front of the court systems and everything else, so we'll be selling the 90-day house treatment program, so that'll be built into this as well. So it's a really good opportunity, and so I'm looking forward to it. Should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great. Just like Jason as well and Allison and others, we're definitely keeping an eye on proposed legislation up at the State House. Committee hearings have begun, so that means that some of us having to testify have also begun. They're being requested to provide revisions or overhauls to proposed bill language or what have you. So again, we know that from the past, it definitely pays off for Rockingham to be involved in this process. It's when the counties are not involved that unfortunately the counties pay the price and therefore county taxpayers pay the price. So it definitely pays off for the counties to be involved. Rockingham County, all things being equal, you could say is the second county that's greatest affected by negative legislation. And also conversely, the probably second rate county that benefits from positive legislation. So, because we're not just testifying against things, we're also testifying for bills. So, of note that we have to watch out for too is also federal government developments. There's discussion, unfortunately, since the state changed its plan to some degrees, that CMS is now looking at all sorts of things in the state plan, which could also impact Medicaid rates, including the federal medical assistance percentage. And also there could be some after effects on ProShare. So yes, so we are another thing
I
just to
assume
look
these
out
are
for.
not all things that are, given that what we are already seeing from the state about hiring freezes and their budgetary challenges that we're gonna be, the squeeze is gonna come down on us as well.
Well, the thing is that the federal government,
Yeah,
we already know that a vast
ProShare.
amount in the federal budget are entitlements. We also know that they're not gonna realistically touch Social Security or Medicare. That leaves Medicaid as your next, as another big piece of entitlements as far as calling it entitlement, which will hurt us a lot. So that's the one piece where CMS, because the state did changes to its plan, once you do that, CMS can look at all parts. And so this is, unfortunately, they're looking at some of this right now. So again, we're keeping on top of that.
Thank you.
And then as far as the weekly meetings, UKG continue to make sure that, again, we're definitely also getting the word out there, not just fixing what, fixes are needed, but also just improvements to the system. And W-2s, I know that they generally have not been received yet in the mail, but we've gotten word that they should be going. I was saying they should be received any day now, so.
Yesterday.
So good, okay. Okay, I just
We
know
have
how. the post
anecdotal
office-
data rolling in.
So yay, but again, just a reminder, employees can log online and print off their own copy as well.
Great, thank you.
And I'm going to stop there, busy as usual, thank you.
Chantal.
Me? Okay, so for census, we're at 132 on the nursing home. We are at full capacity 49, paying on the assisted living side. For COVID, we have 1 staff positive, we have 2 residents, we cleared the neuro outbreak, and as long as everything continues to trend favorably, then we are anticipated to clear the respiratory outbreak this week as well, so fingers crossed. Some just general updates, our BGON starts on Monday. Very excited to kind of continue to fill the team in those pieces. For the dietary RFP, thank you to Elaine and Jason with bearing with us. We got a lot of questions, so I have provided a copy to you. Around those, I think we consolidated like over 40 plus questions into answers with the deadline quickly coming to hand those in. And Jason and I have already mapped out a plan to both of our departments to kind of together correlate all the data as objectively as possible, knowing that there's going to be, like we had talked about, Tom, some difficulty with apples to apples, I think, because there's different models throughout that. So looking ahead at those, but those meetings are already planned out.
Probably should. 'Cause you got
Ask
one.
me in an hour. I will have them put on.
Do the financial stuff.
Ask me in an hour. The answer will be yes.
Future Chantel says yes.
Yes. The team officially started this week, the leadership development series. The call this week was about how to be the best boss ever and about engagement. We will receive the recordings on that soon. If anyone's interested, it is healthcare focused, but there's a lot of great things around engagement and employment. If anyone's interested in watching that, So that went really well. Definitely walked away with the team thinking differently around appreciation or kind of next steps to improve. Spent more time with June and her team, continue to be impressed with just all the amount of planning facilities has done for every random potential emergency. So continuing to work through those, otherwise have been very busy. Prior to all the political changes, CMS was very quick to send lots of memos, just revised the 900-page memo with a new 900-page memo of those revisions. So I'm slowly working my way through those. But there was a big update where all of the communication, CDC, CMS, and all of the publications and where we get a lot of our data are no longer able to share information for the time being. It has been halted. So working kind of through those and navigating that as well. Other than that, I think I'm done.
Thank you. Jason?
Well, Chuck took my thunder about the grant, so we'll move on from there. Thanks, John.
You still got to participate in the discussion.
Well, I had to. About 140 in-house today. Couple things, so, I know I've told you, don't plan on going into a new facility that opens this year the following year, but that being said, we will probably move maybe like some of my, like pre-child services, those kinds of things over there, and maybe even some space of other people, but I'm really looking forward to upstairs. I have, as Jude knows, we're running some issues really with people in closets with no air exchange, and Jude's really trying. Like in our chapel office there, we found out there's no air exchange in there whatsoever. And it was, it's, you know, needed to be fully cleaned, which we're doing, but it's just that there's no exchange there, so. I can't wait till it's done and get people other places. We are due this year for our national corrections, healthcare, national care corrections, healthcare, whatever it is, NCCHC audit. Thanks, NCCHC audit. Healthcare and corrections, basically, which we've passed every single time, which is a gold standard for correctional care. I will say we'll probably pass this one. Usually they come up one or two things like any other audit to maybe to tweak, but it's gone very well. They've been very impressed with the things that we do. So last week I had a meeting with the superintendents and cert board. A couple of good things came out of there. 3 academies are coming up this year. A psychological test that we're going to be able to look at, because we can't, psychological tests are very expensive, way more than our polygraphs, but there's one out there that is relatively inexpensive that can be done, that through SurveyMonkey, so they can do it at home, or you can set up a computer. And then there is a psychologist that actually reads them all and grades them all, and it'll come back with red, don't want to go. Yellow, you got some things to look at, and green, good to go. And it's worked very well for Hillsborough. This is recently of weeding out some people. So it's a step that we're looking at. Actually, all the superintendents are actually taking a look at this step. And I think we're going to add that as part of our letter. If I say inexpensive, it's $25 a person, so it's very inexpensive.
That's really well.
Yeah, so that was good. Chuck talked about some legislative stuff. There is a lot of stuff out there. There's the ICE bill, basically immigration bill, which could affect us. I have a meeting with the sheriff's department tomorrow because the chiefs of police just talked about it, but where they'd have to arrest people that had immigration holds and then bring them to us and everything else. We opposed it last year, superintendents, because of who pays their medical bill, who pays everything for that, put that way.
All the liability.
All the liability, the insurance packet. It's different if you have a contract with them, and that's different, and you pay for them than just picking up on a civil order and being brought to a jail. That's a whole other problem on civil order. It's not so.
So what if you make a mistake on the civil order and you're detaining, there's so many issues attended to where do they get a hearing? When do they get a hearing? Like this is.
And this has been something we've run into for years when somebody's arrested now currently, and then they're brought to us and there's a detainer hold on them for immigration. Well, Hillsborough County ran into it 2 years ago where the immigration right down the road for them, ICE. They call and say, hey, person's getting out, we'll hold them for you for a little bit. Well, that turned to ACLU and lawsuits and everything else.
I remember.
Remember that was on the newspaper?
Yeah.
We can't hold them.
Yeah.
We have no ability to hold them. So and them putting this bill in could be a huge problem and burden for, I know it's a political wildfire right now, but they don't understand, opposed last year, chiefs of police stuff are gonna probably oppose it again, because it is a huge conundrum and a mess.
Well, especially in conjunction with bail, the new, like, the idea is that people should get a hearing within 24 hours if they're being held, right? For a bail hearing, and so if we're holding people on if we're holding people.
Go on the
these
detainers that's under ICE, they have their own arraignments.
Correct. So how facilitating all of that and what is our liability if we screw up? Because, based on, you're getting readouts on these detainers, sometimes are various degrees of application.
Magistrates go pretty well. I mean, I'm not sure why we have them when person came in for strangling somebody and they were just released on PR over the weekend, so they just left with bail commissioners. Just my own 2 cents.
I had 3 over the weekend, this past weekend, 3 magistrate hearings, and what is interesting is there's still arraignments that first day. Like, so you do a magistrate hearing, I did a magistrate hearing on Monday on a holiday, and then the person is required to come to court on Tuesday to appear for a arraignment, because the magistrates aren't doing arraignments. So it is and even though they got released by the magistrate, they still have to show up at court the next day. So it is, to your point,
It's frustrating. I think it's a great expensive, but the state's paying that. We're could have fixed the system with, maybe better education for bail commissioner stuff. But anyways, I digress.
adding a few more bail
Yeah,
commissioners.
well, but the statute was good that they actually said they had to have training and there was a mechanism to get rid of them. Those 2 things alone would have changed. It is changing how the bail commissioners are done. Adding this magistrate piece on, again, if you're just gonna do strangulation, which is one of the 14 that bail commissioner can't do, and you're just PR bailing them, then I'm not really sure. You're saying it's such a high level for violence and we're just putting back out anyways? I don't like to waste money. Last thing on a positive note, I sent out to those of you who get the Facebook, but I asked Layla too. Hero Pups today did an announcement. They put it on there. If you go to Hero Pups and follow them on Facebook, it says, Meatball is going to jail. They did a wonderful slideshow from when he was a puppy and everything else, and talked about his story, how he's abandoned and everything else, and how he's, great for the jail.
Facebook, you tried to send it.
Yeah, the link.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Not
sharing.
Facebook. So, I sent it to, I sent it to Autumn. I don't know if Autumn could find a way to put it somewhere, the link, but that was really awesome. The picture of the dog as a pup and everything else. And I announced it today at the Association of Counties that were now that's official, and everybody seems to be ecstatic over it. So
Great.
I'll leave that on a positive note. Thank you.
I have one question for you. How is the 90-day STAR program going as a transition to the?
Good. I mean, it was started almost at this point, almost 2 years ago.
I know. I just was like,
It's
in the
go- it's-
general of.
It's going
because
well.
of when you think about.
The staff was nervous at first
Yeah.
because they hadn't done a 90-day, and I'm like, well, like anything else, I finally just pulled the trigger on it. It's going well. The thing that is difficult sometimes is not all these courses in 90-day can be just revolving into. So there is a backup. There is a wait, which frustrates the course sometimes. Like, well, sorry, some of it's timing, some of it is this, but it's a much better product in the 90 days. Thus, even a better opportunity way to this new jail is the 90 days plus a step down to work release unit. And if we convince the court to put them on probation, then we can really follow them and really get an opportunity to retrain their brain and be successful. If I really had my way, trying to convince the courts and else to do the 90-day in-house treatment, step down to drug court.
Yeah.
Because drug court, they violate all the time, and there's not real instant repercussions like they're supposed to be. There's a whole model with it, and I think they've gotten away from some of it because they lack participants, so they just did things a different way. But I think if you want to get them stable, that program can stable them out, and I think they have a lot more success in the drug court, because we've got them cleaned up, be on a good path with all his skills behind them, and that's my hope, is to kind of work towards that partnership. I know it's tough. Nobody's done it yet, or been able to convince them that way yet. But Sullivan County, when they started these in-house treatment models, no one had done it for either. And their model is you get the 90-day in-house treatment, and then you get 2 years of probation. And on the year of probation, if you do well, They dropped the second year, so they convinced the courts that a partnership, and it has gone, you know, from 51% recidivism down to 18% of those that got to that program. And I did similar Carroll, not the same, not that high, you know, recidivism down, ours went down to like 22 or 23%. But because we don't have the probation, couldn't convince on that end. So it's all these small pieces of trying to convince and having people just relook at and see things. So that's part of us going through this process as we're moving forward.
Thank you for that. Now, if we can only get the census at the nursing home to be inversely proportional to the census at the jail. We're at 140 and 132. We just need to.
It's my goal too. I've been competing with him. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, anyway. Anybody, Allison?
Yeah, mine's quick. It's just been busy. I've been working on some initiatives with Chantel, working with Jason on a few, maybe not so positive things over there, taking up a little time. I have hopefully tentatively scheduled, the sheriff's office for some of the negotiations. I'm just waiting for Commissioner Godu to confirm his availability. Everybody else has, and if that works out, I'm gonna be talking to Jason to try to coordinate his, and then I did hear from Sean Bolton today. They're ready to go forward, so I'll put another email out to everybody. So I'm on a Thursday, it may be back to back. And I'm trying to transition those so that we can do one and then skip a week for that particular one and have it the following, and just so, but I will let you all know. So those are going along. So it's gonna be a busy month of February, extremely busy, just to give you a heads up.
Allison,
Yes,
I'm available on those Thursdays. Was there
Perfect.
another memo? Because I didn't see anything else.
no, it was just an email confirming to the whole group that everybody was all set with those days and times.
I have to find that email, I guess. I'm not.
I'll send it back over to you. Is that okay after the meeting?
Yeah, that's great. Then I'll confirm.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Leila?
I have nothing, thank you.
Oh, great. With that, I don't see anyone, new business, old business, anything? Anybody? Commissioner Godu, anything?
Nope.
Steve, you're all set. I was in Braintree, Mass the other day at a nursing home on Friday to do a generator transfer. And I can't believe the differences. I've never brought that nursing home administrator. I met him at 4:30 in the morning because we shut the nursing home down at 5. I met him at 4:30. I thought he was the maintenance guy for starters, but he introduced himself as the nursing home administrator. And between the day of going in to use the bathroom and stuff like that, I observed, and I tell you, what it's like night and day what we have here to something in Mass. It was really, really hard. I walked down the hallway where the break room was for the employees from the nursing home, the nurses and the LNAs. It was really, they should be ashamed. It was really dirty. It was, and you come in here, it's like such a difference, such a difference, I thought if he ever saw what we had in New Hampshire, he would be like, so we talked to lingo, talked about different things, how many residents, they had COVID. He lost 64 people in that nursing home with COVID for 2.5 years he lost, So that's it. And then tomorrow, just to let you guys know, Brendan McNamara, I talked about him last week. Tomorrow's his funeral on my birthday, and I will be speaking at the church.
Nice.
The brother Brian called me and asked if I would say a few things. I hope they're prepared for a half-hour speech. But it might only be 15 minutes because after that's my birthday, I'm going to Foxford. So I have a sad morning, but I'll have a happy ending. So, thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Tombrello. I don't see anyone here for public comment, so we're gonna move into non-public session. We have a couple non-publics, so I think we'll start with, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to go to non-public under New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3, 2A personnel for all 3 items.
Second.
Okay. On the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes. And it is 2:01. Thank you, everybody.
You want to go first?
Hello, everyone. We're back in public session after being in non-public session. We had 6 non-public sessions, and I'm gonna turn it to Commissioner Tombrello because to make the motion with respect.
I'll make a motion to seal the non-public minutes of, January 23rd, the 6 of them.
You're seal them indefinitely?
Yeah, and I'd like to, under A, seal them indefinitely, affect the adversity, the reputation of any person other than a member of this board.
And we don't
Second.
have an engineer. Yeah. Okay, any discussion? No? On the, motion, Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I vote yes. And with that, now we're gonna turn to, the next phase. We have I guess we can do we close the meeting and then open up the public hearing? Or is it?
Adjourn after the public hearing.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to the public hearing for the community development block grant projects.
I will make a motion.
Yeah, and I'll make could you,
Motion to open public hearing on a proposed CDBG application for the One Sky 53 Cottage Road in Kensington housing project.
do
Second.
I have a second? On any discussion? I know on the, yes, to open, no, Commissioner Godu on the, motion to open,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Hi, welcome. So nice to see you again.
Nice to see you,
Can I read? Sorry, you know.
That would be great.
You know
yeah.
how this goes.
Yes.
Donna likes it. We give us a break while you read.
Oh, okay, is that what it is?
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Okay, so there are handouts somewhere. I left them there. Oh,
I took them for myself.
he took them.
They are available.
Handouts available, that matters. Okay, so I have to read for a second, sorry. Community Development Block Grant funds are available to municipalities through the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority. Up to $500,000 annually is available for economic development projects, up to $500,000 for housing projects, up to $750,000 for supportive housing, up to $500,000 for public facility projects, up to at least $350,000 in emergency funds, and up to $25,000 for a planning study grant. All projects must directly benefit a majority of low and moderate income persons. This is a proposed application to the Community Development Finance Authority for up to $750,000. Do we want to talk about that? In supportive housing funds or $500,000 in housing funds. Of the grant funds, up to $30,000, $40,000 of its supporting housing funds will be retained by the county for administrative labor compliance costs associated with the project. The remaining funds will be sub-granted to One Sky Community Services to be used towards the acquisition and or rehabilitation of 1 4-bedroom home of supportive housing at 53 Cottage Road in Kensington. This project conforms with Rockingham County's Housing and Community Development Plan of encourage a varied stock of safe, sanitary, decent, affordable housing for persons of all age and income groups. So Matt's here and he can talk to you a little bit more about the project if you'd like to know a little bit more and explain how you got involved in, well, explain One Sky and then I.
Yeah.
Y'all, you sponsored a One Sky project before, but this one's a little bit different.
Yeah, so my name's Matt Cordero. I'm the CEO for One Sky Community Services, and I'm the board chair for Farmsteads in New England. And as our region's area agency, we support 24 towns, roughly 1,275 people with intellectual developmental disability or acquired brain disorder. This project is based in Kensington. It was the original Carriage Barn nonprofit, and it provided therapeutic riding support. The nonprofit, the one individual who was running it and doing actually making it a nonprofit, was unable to continue it. So we stepped in, and the goal is for us to purchase and pay off through that purchase all of their debt of that former nonprofit, and then to take the home that's there and create new housing stock for people with developmental disabilities. And a little background on that, our state currently has 55 people on average at any given time out of state, in Florida, Pennsylvania, Texas, and not generally within the New England area. Those individuals, are there simply because we don't have enough housing stock in the state of New Hampshire. And when you are in need of housing, because your parent or maybe your caregiver who is providing for you can no longer do so, you're now being, you're not only losing that daily connection with that person, you're now losing your whole community, where you've had a job, where you've been maybe going to day programming, all your friends, and you're shipped to Florida. And it's gut wrenching for these individuals. On the finance side of it, for us as taxpayers within the state, a med flight is what we're required to send a person on. It's a $50,000 one-way ticket. On top of that, a person we could support within the state at $230,000, we're paying anywhere from $100,000 to $400,000 more to support them in Florida. There is no other at-risk population in our state, not veterans, individuals who have substance abuse disorders, the homeless, that we ship out of state when we don't have enough housing stock. And before that even happens, our individuals are typically dropped at our emergency rooms, where they actually will languish until there's a housing, a place for them to go, or until we're able to secure housing for them outside of the state. And the best example I can give, if you actually Google One Sky, WMUR, Developmental Disabilities, they, WMUR ran a story on a house that we built in Raymond with our own funds, supporting individuals who could not be supported anywhere within our state. And one of the individuals lived 2.5 years in an emergency room, not being admitted to the hospital because he didn't have a medical need to be admitted, and not being able to go anywhere else, because the second he left the hospital, then he no longer could return to the hospital. So think of it as like as the kindest incarceration you could probably get. So that's why this housing stock is so important to us. The property is beautiful and amazing. A nice add-on bonus is we're going to revive the therapeutic riding program. Right now we have 60 individuals that we support that are traveling to Hooksett, Concord, and areas beyond for those services. New Hampshire, in Durham, University of New Hampshire has a therapeutic riding program. The wait list is pretty long. It's hard to get into it. They make things work. I mean, God bless them, they do, but there's too many people and not enough providers. So there's a nice bonus to this.
Matt, one more thing, that emergency, because I think that's pretty important when one of these people go into the emergency.
Yeah, so when one of our individuals goes into an emergency room, how hospitals are staffed, they may have one nurse for every 3 beds in the emergency room. So if you take a 10-bed facility and one of our individuals goes into that emergency room, we have now taken 3 beds because all the staffing is going towards supporting that one person in that area. And we can provide some supplemental staffing, but that then creates liabilities for the hospital that they don't enjoy, creates liabilities for us that we don't enjoy, and then the person ends with just languishing longer without the proper supports.
And there's less
Quality of life.
Yeah, what's up?
And quality of life.
Oh, quality, yeah, I mean, it's
Emotional, devastating.
when I mean, I don't want to knock the hospital that was caring for the individual, speaking about Tom, and that's who the story is about, but when he came back, he hadn't seen a dentist in 2 years. He hadn't, his nails were being trimmed, but not the way they needed to be trimmed. So your personal care, when you go to the hospital, you're not there for personal care. You're there for acute care. And the hospital's job is to get you out of the hospital as fast as possible.
2.5 years in the emergency room.
Yeah. They eventually did give him his own room, but it was towards the end. We even tried to have him go outside so he could see his family and all that. And that if that happened, because his family couldn't physically care for him either, the second he rolled out of the doors, they would literally wipe their hands of it.
But, I mean, what I hear is just with, and I assume that this 4-bedroom home will house 3 or 4.
At least 3.
Yeah, so, but with that, if we just assume 3, it pays for itself immediately by housing those 3 people. you know, the $50,000 outsourcing on the med flight plus the 100 to $400,000.
Ridiculous, the math, right?
No, I know exactly, and I'm not, and there's a separate issue, which is like giving people dignity and quality of life that is like, I wholeheartedly like want to support, and I think it's like our obligation to do that. But let's put that away for just a second because, and just look at the finance end of it. And the point is, when you look at the ROI of just the numbers and from a taxpayer was like, hey, how do these dollars work? Then for the public watching this maybe in the future, the ROI is immediate.
Yeah.
Because when those 3 people are in there, would be placed in the home, that pays for itself in the outsourcing.
Yeah. And the other thing too, when you speak to the quality of life, we're gonna be taking people, at least one person who's at the opposite side of the state, back into our county where they're 20 minutes from their family. So instead of having to drive 3 hours to the other side,
Yeah.
they are
Gonna
now
get a lot
able to.
more visiting.
Right,
Yeah.
and what then that does is
Yeah.
open up additional stock for people who are local there. So it allows some movement within the state.
The other thing is just the that we can also tangentially preserve an adaptive riding program. I actually did some adaptive riding program stuff when,
Great,
20 years
Good,
ago.
you can call it.
I was gonna say, thank you for volunteering.
No, I have these skills.
I got nervous. I was gonna say that I have 3 horses in my yard, but I'm allergic to horses, so you'd have to talk to my bride.
It's purely anecdotal, but my anecdotal experience is just that my experience was you could see what an impact it had for special needs or, you know,
Well, you know,
individuals who.
Guys wanted to say.
Yeah.
We even looked in, my wife, I have a couple of Down syndrome people that are close to me, one calls every day, from calling, because he doesn't know that I'm here. And my wife, we wanted to get them, so when we talked to our insurance company, they just said, can't do it. So my wife was gonna bring people to our yard, but if one of them falls, we'd be in trouble.
And that's
We're supporting it local, you know, it's twofold.
right, and
My
that's,
wife would have them all there. They'd be there.
Yeah. but
You might
it,
get a call.
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where we hope to make the program not just specific to people with individual developmental disabilities or intellectual disabilities or acquired brain disorders, but all people of all abilities, ages.
Yeah.
So that way we can really, I mean, it's the inclusive nature of bringing people into our world and getting our people into their world. And that's how we make things a little bit better. And it's
I like it.
a great thing.
That's a good part, but we're focusing on the 4 beds.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
It's very benefit.
And if I look at it all, it saves money, it's good for
Yeah.
people, it's
Yeah.
just like, it's
Well-
like good, good, good.
Right. I mean, it pays for itself with those 3, but anything above that, it's just like you're,
Within the first year.
right.
How
And
did you guys obtain the house?
So my career has just been helping failing nonprofits. And so that nonprofit was referred over. And once we got into it, it was pretty clear that without the person who was running it,
Yeah.
it wasn't a nonprofit. It was a really nice idea with real estate. And that person unfortunately just physically couldn't do it anymore. So working with their board of directors, we came up with this idea of just creating some affordable housing and then as an ancillary benefit, raising the equine therapy back.
We're also putting another application in through Epping. They're building housing over there. And they've got 8 about to open in a few months, another 8 later this year. So they're really
Yeah.
picking up.
And then with our project in Hillsborough, we have the original Farmsteads location. It's a beautiful company. I highly recommend you look it up. We're taking what was 6 offices, 1 office per building. And we are licensing the buildings for 4 occupants and making those offices into beds. So we'll be able to hopefully add about 30 beds of stock to our system of care within this calendar year.
That's great.
And much of the Hillsborough one is self-funded. So we're doing that.
So if he can get they can get CDBG money, it gives them money to do other things and keep building and try to get people back to the state they're
Yeah,
supposed to be in.
yeah, the Epping project, we have 3 individuals we've already identified that will be coming back in Florida.
Well, that's great. That's great. Do we have any, does anybody have anything else to add? Do we have any public comment? I see there's someone, Chris Whalen. Are you, do you have any comment?
Chris is my CFO.
Oh, okay, fine. These are-
And Brian's
Yeah.
my comptroller.
Okay. Without seeing anyone,
We are very passionate about what we do, so.
I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right.
Second,
On the motion, Commissioner Godu,
yes.
Commissioner Tom Barello.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, we have a second, motion.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing of residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan for the One Sky 53 Cottage Road in Kingston, New Hampshire housing project.
Kensington, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know if that matters to the.
you know,
Sorry.
Second,
On the motion to open it, Commissioner Tom Barello.
yes.
Commissioner Godu,
yes.
and I vote yes.
So this plan outlines the measures under the Uniform Relocation Act required for CDBG projects that involve any displacement or relocation of persons or businesses. If the county were to undertake a CDBG project, and that's important, it's a CDBG project only we're talking about here, okay? Which involved displacement or relocation, they would follow this plan. The plan outlines the measures they would take to find comparable, suitable housing for persons or businesses displaced or relocated. We always have to adopt this, whether we're displacing or relocating anybody, but we're not, the building's empty, right?
Yeah, building's completely.
So we're not displacing or relocating anybody, but it's project specific, and we have to adopt it every time we ask for CDBG for that project. Any questions or comments on that one?
Any public comment? No? All right, I'll take a motion to.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
On the motion to close the public hearing, Commissioner Godu,
yes.
Commissioner Tom Barello.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
One more.
One more motion, go ahead.
Motion to
Commissioner.
open the public hearing on the housing and community development plan.
Second,
On the motion to open, Commissioner Godu,
yes.
Commissioner Tom Barello.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
So we always have to have a housing community development plan that's not more than 3 years old, and the last time we adopted it, it was 2021. So there's no changes to it, I'm just proposing to re-adopt it. A housing community development plan is required to be eligible to apply for CDBG funds. The proposed housing community development plan identifies needs which currently exist or are anticipated during the next 3 years. The plan provides a basis for guiding the county's housing and community development objectives and actions. In addition, the plan includes a CDBG citizen participation plan that details the CDBG requirements for public hearings, like the one we're at today.
All right. With that, is there any public comment on this? Motion? No, I'll take a motion to close the public.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
On the motion, Commissioner Tom Barello.
Yes.
Commissioner Godu,
yes.
and I vote yes.
So can I interrupt for a second here? So Chuck, there was a thing between the 750 and 5. Do we need to do something?
Well, that was partly because I didn't get a chance to read your email, Matt, before I came on down, so I traditionally used to 500,000.
Because that's normally the max for
Yeah.
everything.
But compared to last time that the county ended up handling for a CDBG application, obviously things have changed and there's that specific now even higher amount, 750K for supportive housing. If it meets certain
Yep.
requirements, was it permanent housing for disabled?
Yep, and then
Well,
be supported
the
services.
services.
Yeah, supported services. So
Okay.
they'll, I mean, this is gonna create, I'm gonna say roughly 20 jobs where people are gonna be working there supporting these individuals.
Okay, so it's basically, there could be just a basic memo, just to update that it's approval to apply for $750,000 grant.
It's usually up to 500 in this one little category of supportive housing. We can go up to 750.
Mhm.
And that's what we, in the very first public
Yeah,
hearing, we
perfect,
talked
yeah.
about that. And we'd like to go for the 750. you know, worst case, they run out of money and they bump us down to the 500 housing one. But we'd like to apply for the 750 because any money we can get from the grant will give them more money to build some other housing.
Great.
And you don't have to use it all.
Right, no, but we
Just
will
a couple.
because the acquisition alone is gonna take up all that. We're hoping to put the CDBG into acquisition if it works that way, it'd be negative, but we'll see what happens.
And then we'll be investing about 300,000 of our own funds.
Yeah, they gotta rehab a little bit.
Yeah.
And do some stuff, but if we can put the money in acquisition and they can put the money into rehab, they don't have to follow the procurement that the federal funds require, and it would just be easier for them. Anyway, so that's what we'd like to go for the 750. If you're
Great.
with that.
Well, we'll make the motion to that effect.
Okay.
Commissioner Tombrello,
I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the One Sky Housing Project CDBG application for up to $750,000 and authorize the chair to sign and submit the application. Upon approval of the CDBG application, the chair is further authorized to execute any documents necessary to effectuate the CDBG contract and subsequent amendments.
Second.
any discussion on the motion? Without any, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Next,
motion to adopt the anti-displacement and location assistance plan for the One Sky Housing Project.
Second.
any discussion? Without any, Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes,
Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
and I vote yes. And one more,
I'll make a motion to adopt the housing and community development plans.
Second.
on that motion, if there's no discussion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombrello.
Yes,
And I vote yes. And with that, we have one more motion to make on the day.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
You look like you're going somewhere.
Do we have a second, Commissioner Godu?
Yes, second.
Okay, on the motion, Commissioner Godu,
Yes, go Bruins.
Commissioner Tombrello,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Make a motion for them to win. How's that?
There we go.
Last night, they didn't look good. They got a 1-0 lead and they lost.